Now that we're comfortable adding and subtracting square roots, we're going to add simplification. Let's look at this as an example. The square root of 20 plus 3 square root of 5. These are not like terms. They don't have the same radicand. But what's different is that the square root of 20 simplifies. We know that the square root of 20 is the square root of 4 times the square root of 5. The square root of 5 doesn't simplify at all. And we know the square root of 4 is 2. So this is 2 root 5 plus 3 root 5, which altogether is 5 root 5. There's nothing left to simplify, so we're done. Why don't you try this one? The square root of 18 plus 6 root 2. Hit pause and give it a try. Well, they're not like terms, but the square root of 18 is the same as the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. We know the square root of 9 is 3, so this is 3 root 2 plus 6 root 2, which altogether is 9 root 2. How'd you do? Something similar would be a problem like this. The square root of 48 minus the square root of 75. Well, these aren't like terms, so we can't add them directly, but we can simplify both of them. 48 is the square root of 16 times the square root of 3, and 75 is the square root of 25 times the square root of 3. This will become 4 root 3, and the square root of 25 is 5, so we have 4 root 3 minus 5 root 3, and altogether that's negative 1 square root of 3. Why don't you try one like that? The square root of 32 minus the square root of 18. Go ahead and hit pause. Let's see how you did. We know the square root of 32, well, that's the same as 16 times 2. So we have the square root of 16 times the square root of 2. The square root of 18 is the same as the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. So we would have 4 root 2 minus 3 root 2, which is just 1 square root of 2. Let's try a couple more. Let's consider 5 square root of 18 minus 2 root 8. Again, these aren't like terms, but both can simplify. The square root of 18 is the same as the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. The square root of 8 is the same as the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. And some of these square roots break down. This is 5 times 3 times root 2 minus 2 times 2 times root 2. Remember, because the square root of 9 is 3 and the square root of 4 is 2. When we multiply things out, we have 15 root 2 minus 4 root 2, which altogether is 11 root 2. And that doesn't simplify any further. Why don't you try one more? 4 root 27 minus 3 root 12. Go ahead and hit pause and see how you do. Let's go through it to see if you did it correctly. We know that the square root of 27 is the same as the square root of 9 times the square root of 3. And the square root of 12 is the same as the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. The square root of 9 is 3. Remember, these are all being multiplied together. The square root of 4 is 2. So this simplifies down into 12 root 3 minus 6 root 3, which is just 6 root 3. There's our final answer.